DiskGenius is one of those tools with a huge feature list, but in this DiskGenius review, I'm focusing on what most people probably want to know: data recovery. For that, I tested it in 3 real-world data loss cases: deleted files, a formatted SD card, and a raw USB drive. It handled some parts surprisingly well, but one type of file gave it a lot more trouble than I expected. So let's see how DiskGenius actually performs and how it compares to other recovery tools. If this is your first time hearing the name, DiskGenius is an all-in-one Windows utility for data recovery, partition management, disk cloning, and drive diagnostics. It's developed by ESOS, a company that has been making disk utilities since 2010. It has been around long enough to build a real user base and clear track record. So if your question was, is DiskGenius legit? The answer is absolutely yes. The next question is going to be, is DiskGenius safe? Or more directly, is DiskGenius malware? From what I saw, it's not malware. I checked the official installer on VirusTotal, and 67 out of 68 engines marked it clean. The only flag was a Sophos PUA warning, but that's normal for disk tools. I'd like to see a clearer privacy policy, but overall, DiskGenius looks safe to install if you get it from the official website. Feature-wise, DiskGenius is a toolbox with recovery in the middle. On the recovery side, DiskGenius handles deleted files, formatted drives, raw partitions, and even RAID arrays. It covers most Windows and Linux file systems, but it doesn't support Mac file systems like APFS or HFS+. It works with HDDs, SSDs, USB drives, SD cards, and NVMe drives. For scans, DiskGenius gives you deleted file recovery, a deeper complete recovery, and signature scanning when file system data is gone. Beyond recovery, it works as a full partition manager. Resize, merge, clone, or repair partitions. There's a WinPE bootable environment for systems that won't start, smart drive health monitoring, bad sector detection, and a hex editor. I tested a few of these extra tools and they worked without issues. The interface, though, hasn't aged well. It's certainly not a command line interface like Photorex, but it's far from as user-friendly as disk drills. You get a dense layout, small buttons, raw metadata, and enough technical detail to slow down first-time users. But the main reason we're here is data recovery. So I tested DiskGenius in 3 scenarios: deleted files on a 500GB HDD, a quick formatted 64GB SD card, and raw 16GB USB drive. I'll also compare the results with competitors in the recovery space to see where DiskGenius stands. The workflow isn't as straightforward as in newer recovery tools, but still clear enough. Select the disk, choose File Recovery, pick Settings, Scan, Preview, then recover files to another drive. For some reason, the preview sometimes opens in hex format, which tells you nothing about whether files are intact. Other popular tools like UFS Explorer or Disk Drill give you a proper visual preview, so DiskGenius feels less convenient here. But to give DiskGenius credit, scan speed was one of its strongest points. I recently reviewed Recover in similar tests, and the scan took much longer. On the HDD, DiskGenius recovered 98% of files in roughly 85 minutes. Documents and images came back especially well, with file names and folder structure intact. On the formatted microSD card, usable recovery dropped to about 82% in 25 minutes, which is still pretty decent. Nikon and GoPro RAW photos did well, but CR2 and CR3 were inconsistent and video recovery was weak. On the raw USB drive, the scan took about 15 minutes, but only around 75% of files were usable. Photos and documents were recoverable, but most videos were broken. So yeah, video is clearly a weak spot for DiskGenius, and it loses to more media-focused tools here. Disk Drill, for example, is better prepared for fragmented camera footage with advanced camera recovery, while Stellar and Recoverit offer separate video repair features, though as paid extras. Still, compared to basic tools like Recover or Windows File Recovery, DiskGenius is much stronger, especially with raw drives. Overall, I'd rate its recovery performance above average, just not for video-heavy cases. Let's talk about what DiskGenius Free versus Paid gives you. The free version can scan and preview files, but recovery is capped at 64 kilobytes per file. That's essentially nothing. A text note might pass, but real files won't. Paid versions remove that recovery limit, and higher tiers add things like BitLocker recovery, RAID support, and deeper partition tools. So here's the verdict. Is DiskGenius good as a data recovery tool? If you're a Windows user and you don't mind a technical interface, yes. It's good for people who want recovery and disk management together. The scan speed is good, document and photo recovery was solid, and the extra tools are useful if you know what you're doing. But there are clear trade-offs. DiskGenius's free limitations make the buying decision harder because the free version doesn't let you test actual recovery properly. The interface and previews also feel technical. Media recovery is uneven, and if you're on Mac OS or Linux, DiskGenius is basically off the table. So I wouldn't call it the best first choice for recovery. If your goal is just to recover files with less guessing, I'd say something like Disk Drill is a better starting point. It has a cleaner workflow, better previews, and stronger support for tougher media cases, especially fragmented camera footage. I've already reviewed Disk Drill along with other tools on the channel, so check those videos out if you want to compare your options. That's it for today. If this helped, leave a like and drop your thoughts on DiskGenius in the comments. And if you want a more detailed breakdown, I'll leave the complete DiskGenius data recovery review in the description. See you next time.